everyone, welcome back to Nerd Culture. My name is Ruth, and today we're going to be talking about Onward.
Nerd.
So right off the bat, I really love this movie. I cried multiple times, and that's usually how I judge if a movie was good, based on how many times I cry. But this is a Pixar movie, which means I have very high expectations. How I see it, and you can disagree, how I see it is with Pixar movies, usually when they do really, really well, it's when they have a very simple story with a complicated meaning behind it. But I feel like Onward was just the opposite. Onward is a complicated story with a really simple meaning behind it. Like the message at the end was like, oh, well, yeah, I don't know. But it took them a lot of work to get there, if you know what I mean. But Onward was an original story, which I'm really, really happy about. Pixar for the last few years have been doing, sequels like Monsters University, Incredibles 2, kind of just basing off of older Pixar movies that did well. But Onward is a completely original story, the first in the series. I don't see why there would be a second one. It just seems like a standalone film, which is awesome. And I was never bored at once during this movie. It was so good. It's very action-paced, lots of adventure. If you guys have seen the trailer, it takes place in a suburban fantasy world, so it's very fantasy world based, and that's like my favorite genre is fantasy. I love Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and, Disney fairy tales for sure. So I was so just entranced by the setting of this movie, and that really, really helped it. And then it went into the plot, where the plot was very fantasy based too. The movie features two brothers, Ian and Barley. Barley's the older brother, Ian is the younger brother, and Ian in the movie is turning 16 on his 16th birthday. That's kind of like a coming of age time. Basically, Ian is very anxious, not very confident kid. Barley is very well, Barley's whole world is this board game that he has, which is actually based on the history of the world they live in. It's very similar to our Dungeons and Dragons. In their world, magic used to exist and used to be the primary source of energy and resource and everything. But then technology came along and everyone kind of started using technology for everything that they needed instead of going towards magic, which was like the old-fashioned way of things. So Barley believes in magic and his board game and everything, but Ian does not. So Ian and Barley live with their mom, who's really, really awesome. She's so cool. But their dad died when Barley was young and actually before Ian was born. So Ian never got to meet him. And so Ian kind of goes through this complicated time in the beginning of the movie where he is kind of recognizing the fact he never met his dad, so he doesn't really know what his dad's like. But on his 16th birthday, Ian's mom tells him that his dad left him a present for both the brothers. It's this long staff with a jewel at the end and a spell, and the spell is called the visitation spell. And basically how it works is if the brothers say the spell and perform it correctly, their dad will come back to life for one day. So Barley is so excited because in his life, it seems as though he has this love for magic and everything fantasy-based, and everyone around him is like, that's from a really long time ago, you're crazy, ew. Finally, magic is, directly in front of him, and obviously he's going to want to do it, and it's very helpful and relevant, so he wants to step all over that and take advantage. So he tries to cast the spell multiple times, and it doesn't work. But Ian tries, and it works. So obviously, magic seems to be something you don't really learn or master, but actually something you inherit. So even though Barley has studied all these spells and everything and should have been able to cast that spell, he can't. And obviously their dad seems to have been a wizard, so he probably passed that down to Ian, so now Ian can perform magic. While Ian's casting the spell, he's only able to bring half his dad back, so the lower half, so it's just the pants, but he's unable to do the second half. So the spell only lasts for 24 hours, and the brothers go through trying to bring him back completely, and they go on this magical quest. Because obviously Ian really wants to get to know his dad. They're on this quest to bring their dad back. It's your typical fantasy adventure where you just meet people along the way, meet challenges along the way, overcome them. It really pulled at my heartstrings so much, just seeing the brothers work together and obviously work through their differences, and also their dead dad being there and them trying to relate to him. It has a really personal connection to me because my dad actually died when I was young, and it was really cool because I got to see this movie with my sister, and we cried in the bathroom afterwards because we were just relating a lot. And it's a really cute and really sweet movie. I really loved it. Guinevere is like the van that Barley has, and I just feel like it was so cool to kind of have like the sense of what life was like in their van. I love Barley so much actually. He's like such a heartthrob. You might not agree with that, but he's very my type, you know, like a big D&D nerd, loves fantasy, loves games. He's very silly and fun. I just like that a lot. The movie dealt with a very challenging topic, obviously, but I think they did it really, really well. Because obviously, you know, you don't want a kid watching this movie and thinking, oh wow, well, I want to bring my, you know, dead parent or family member back, and that's how, you know, I get my happy ever after. But it became very apparent early on in this film that the movie wasn't about the dad. It was about the relationship between the two brothers. I don't think this movie is for everybody. I also think people don't really know about it. Pixar definitely did release a lot about this movie. I think that's probably because they're concentrated more on Soul, which definitely seems more like the Inside Out, kind of like the thing I was talking about earlier about how there's a simple thing that they make complicated. I think Soul will be more for that kind of audience, but this is definitely more of a, I don't know how to say it, just not as, I mean, definitely was emotional, but not as, I guess, encompassingly, beautifully cinematic. I thought the ending was so beautiful. It was definitely my type of movie. I cried so many times. Partly because I have that like personal connection to it, but also just because I really felt for the characters and what they were going through, and I really wanted Ian to meet his dad and have that connection, because I felt so bad for him that he hadn't had that. But in the end, Ian realizes that that's not what he should have, and it definitely humbles you and makes you think about what actually matters. And it's really sweet, his relationship with his brother. Go back to the setting of the movie, the fantasy world. I think the whole idea is that over time people have forgotten magic and they've become settled into the technological world. So it's like kind of magic versus technology. But I just think that's so similar to what our society is going through. Obviously, you know, we don't have magic, but it does kind of feel like technology does so much for us these days in our lives and in our world. And like, it does feel like we've lost some sense of magic. Obviously not spells and potion kind of magic, but a kind of like freedom of creativity and wonder and imagination. And I feel like this movie was very good at calling that out, because the fact that Barley is like, okay, you know, we're gonna use magic now. We're gonna like, and Ian's kind of the first new age magician, and everywhere they go, they kind of leave little sparkles of magic everywhere, and it's really motivating and exciting to think that they could bring it back and make it a good thing again that people use. I feel like if you really look into it, there's a deeper message there, but I can't really put into words right now. But I think that's it. Again, I really like this movie, but it just didn't have that magical Pixar feel to it. Like, I had to look up all the Easter eggs because, well, one, during that movie I was just too entranced by the story to look out for Easter eggs, but also I felt like it didn't really fit. Though apparently the Pizza Planet truck was in there and I missed it. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this movie. I know there's a lot of like debate over whether or not it was good. I really, really liked it and also just personally connected with it a lot, but I would love to hear your opinion. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe all down below. We have a lot of new videos coming to Nerd Culture and I'm really, really excited for them, so make sure you subscribe so you can see all those happen when they come out. And that's all I have for you guys today. Bye!